Okay, I'm just waiting for Twitch to come online. Okay, good evening, this is Gaming McFitness. Today I'm going to just stream a quick Zwift stream and give a little status update on my fitness gaming controller builds. So first of all, it's been a little while since I've streamed just because I've been driving back and forth to my sister's house the last couple weeks, where my workshop is. And the reason is I had a bunch of stand-up comedy things, open mics that I do on the different sides of Michigan. And they got sort of rearranged, and I ended up having to drive back and forth to do one day on one side of the state and one on the other side of the state. Since I was only at my sister's where my workshop is for like a 4-day chunk, and then I'll be there, I'm driving back up there tonight for another 4 or 5 day chunk. I only did a couple little things. First of all, I finally fixed this controller. The X and Y buttons weren't working. So I'm just going to kind of show that. That's what this screen is. So I'm just showing A, B, X, Y, bumper, trigger. So this is the program that I use on the PC end that you're looking at with the controller on it. Thumbstick, back, start, or select start, whatever. Thumb, D-pad. So basically the way I fixed it was this microcomputer that's glowing here with all the wires sticking out. I had to basically I had to buy a second one and wire it up from scratch. So the board and the wires sticking out of it, it's a totally different one. But the wires leading up into the handles are the same as before. So basically the cables connect. So I was forward-looking enough to allow me to build it in a way where I could sort of replace the parts. And so that let me switch to Zwift actually. I just wanted to show that. And when it's not working, this tool here is helpful to figure out which buttons are working and which aren't when I'm wiring it up. So the cheering you're hearing is from Zwift, which I'm going to show any second. Once I figure out how to do that. Box 1, camera 3. Okay, there we go. So basically my rowing machine game controller that I've been working on, that uses a pulley system with the wires. Let me change so I can see comments if somebody comments. I'm basically done with the woodworking part of it, and where I hurt my leg when I was kneeling doing the woodworking. My leg is still a little fucked up, by the way. Like, I can't lift my toes on the left foot as much as I should. I don't think I've been limping from that. I was having what's called drop foot, and I talked to my primary care doctor about it. And they think I might have pinched a nerve leading down to my ankle and in my knee when I was squatting, doing the woodworking. And that if it's not better in a month, to give them a call. It's been about 2 weeks. And I found some of my lighter shoes, and so my foot doesn't get tired and my toes don't drop and drag, and I don't limp as much. Now, know if it's from the shoes or if it's because it's getting better. But I definitely don't have the flexibility there at 100% with my foot injury. But anyway, I'm basically done with the woodworking there for the rowing machine game controller. And I'm about ready to start the wiring for it. But I want to do I wanted to refamiliarize myself with wiring stuff. And so I did the wiring to fix this first, this existing controller, to get used to soldering again and see if some ideas came into my head. And also because I was only going to be there a couple days, I wouldn't have had enough time to finish it anyway. So I did get a couple ideas. One of them is to use, instead of 20 individual wires, and this is an idea I had before, is to combine them into like a multi-wire cable, like with a plug that's got like a bunch of data lines on it, like a multi-wire plug. That way I don't have to try to connect 10, 15 wires individually. I can just plug it in and be done. And I did have some like electronics hobby plugs that are small, like the 5 or 6 wire plugs like you'd see on a motherboard. And I was planning on maybe using some of those. But I was looking to see if I could find better plugs. And I Googled around, and there's what's called a Dutch connector, DEUTCH, and it's tends to be used on higher voltage things like motorcycles and stuff. Not little hobby 5-volt electronics, but you can use them for hobby electronics. I feel like I'm smacking my leg on the ground. I'm gonna slow down again. I feel like my leg injury, I can't go that fast. And, got a little pain in my upper part of my leg too for some reason. So anyway, I bought a couple of those on Amazon. I'm going to try those for the rowing machine game controller. I bought them last night. And so when I'm in town, when I'm at my sister's for the 4th of July weekend, I might, Saturday I'll probably go out on the boat, but Sunday, Monday, maybe Tuesday I'll still be there. I'm going to try to experiment with that connector. And I bought the crimp tool for it, a special crimp tool that I think is the right thing. So we'll see. The problem with those Dutch connectors, they're super sturdy and super big. And it has enough things so I can have one for the left side of the controller and one for the right. But they're way more expensive than the circuit board type connectors. It's like $5. Well, it was $30 for 3 pair. So that's 6 connectors for $30. It's like, yeah, it's like $5 each through Amazon. I might be able to get them cheaper if I buy them through like a electronics parts supplier in bulk or something. But so I'm paying like $20 just to wire up the rowing machine game controller with those Dutch connectors. Did I do the math right? Who cares? Anyway, but if I were using the smaller like circuit board type connectors, wire connectors. I probably have to use 2 or 3 of them per side because they don't have 12. They don't have 12 wire connectors. Well, I could probably find them at a parts supply, but on Amazon they didn't have any that were big enough. But it's like you buy a kit for like $20 and it has like hundreds of them. So you're paying like a quarter per connector or something. So instead of paying a quarter or 50 cents or 75 cents for 3 small connectors, I'm paying $10, $20 for big connectors. So that kind of sucks. So I'm just gonna see which approach to use. Play around with the wires this weekend. I probably won't actually wire up the rowing machine game controller completely, but I'll just experiment with soldering and connecting the cables and come up with a plan for that. So that's where I am with that. What was I going to say? Oh, part of the reason I want to use connectors also is I want to be able to eventually build it so I could swap them out between machines. Like this one, I could move it from this treadmill to the rowing machine or the bicycle and just unplug 2 or 3 connectors and not have to deal with 40 individual wires or whatever it is. But if I commit myself to those expensive Dutch connectors, I'll be spending a lot more money. For every little fitness machine I have, if I have to shell out $20 instead of $2 or $3 just for the wiring connectors, that's gonna suck. So I want to use the cheaper connectors, but I'm not sure that, like when I'm rowing and I'm basically the Xbox, big square Xbox adaptability controller is connected to the wires and it's moving up and down behind me as I row. And it's just dangling connected to the wires that are connected to the rowing handle. So I'm pulling on the connectors as I row. So if they're not strong connections, they could just pull out, could just fall apart as I row. Maybe not fall totally apart, but some of the wires might become disconnected. So I kind of want to have a couple possible ideas on how to do it and maybe even experiment with both of them. And then if the cheap smaller connectors don't work, then I'll use the expensive, more convenient but more expensive Dutch connectors that should also be stronger. The other problem with that is that the Dutch connector, the thinnest wire you can use is 22 gauge. And I think a lot of the wires that I use for my little circuit stuff are thinner than that. And in fact, I already built a cable to connect from the rowing machine handle around the bottom of the rowing machine and up behind me, where the Xbox controller is going to hang on pulleys and go up and down. And I think I was using thinner wire than 22 gauge. So I'll have to see if that thinner wire will even work with the Dutch connector, like, or if I have to solder it in where I could have just clamped it in before with a crimping tool or something. So it could go wrong with the thicker connector too if I'm using too thin of wires. And I also bought right now I made my own cable for the rowing machine. Basically I bought all the individual thin wires and I put them in like a flexible tube, so it looks like one thick wire. But you can buy wires that have a bunch of wires in them, like a big bundle of wires. And so I bought some of those on Amazon last night. I think it's got 16 wires in it. Actually, when I was in college, I worked as an intern for a laser company. And that's what I did most of the time, was build wiring harnesses for the laser machines, custom wire harnesses. And so I did a lot with those type of cables. Some of them had like 40 wires in them, and they had these big, wide connectors with like 40 pins sticking out. And I had built some of those wire cables way back when. So I'm almost back to what I used to do at work. But I'm a little worried that the wire won't be flexible enough to go through the pulleys around the treadmill. Like it might not be bendy enough. Whereas the way I did it already is super bendy. And I've already tried it out on like a prototype. And I also, for the rowing machine game controller, the handle, I built it so it does attach to the rowing machine. And I've got like mounts for like the bumper and trigger on the top of the handle. But I haven't done, and the thumbsticks, but I haven't built a mount for the ABXY and D-pad up, down, left, right to mount on the rowing handle. I haven't done that yet. But I probably won't get to that this weekend. So that's where I am with that. I already talked a little bit about my foot. So I'll have to debate on whether I want to go to the doctor in a week or two, like the actual doctor, for specialty doctor, for my mild foot injury. And then for the next to me, I have the omnidirectional treadmill. The Cat VR omnidirectional treadmill. So that used to be at my sister's house. That's where I had it shipped because I hadn't moved into this apartment yet when I ordered it. And it took like 4 months to ship, and by then I'd half moved out. And then I finally moved it over here. It barely fit in the car. I had to take it apart into smaller pieces than when it got shipped to me to fit it in my car. But it's here, put together, and I think I did one stream here, and the video was all using the VR headset. The gameplay was all choppy, and I think the primary reason for that was that I was using the Steam VR view video instead of the Fallout. So when you start Fallout 4 VR, when you're using the VR headset. On the PC, it shows a duplicate of what you're viewing in a fallout window. And that's like super small and you can't resize it. So when I was streaming at 1080p or HD, whatever it is, that window appeared super small and I couldn't figure out how to stream it like a realistic size. But there's also the Steam VR display view that you can use. And so if I turn that on, I've got two windows on the PC that are duplicating the video in the headset. And I just hide the Fallout 4 one, but when I do that, it slows it down. I think that was the main reason the video was choppy. The other reason might be that since I moved to this apartment, I moved the omnidirectional treadmill to this apartment, the headset and the PC and the Wi-Fi access point in PC were way on opposite sides of the apartment. And it's like a super thin, long apartment. So it was probably a little bit more than 15 feet away through a wall. And the video, when you do use the Oculus Quest 2, when you're running the game on the PC and transferring the video from the PC to the headset, it does that over Wi-Fi. And so they give you specific, like super specific guidelines about how the Wi-Fi is. Like you're supposed to use 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi and not 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. You're supposed to be a certain distance away from the access point, which I wasn't. A couple other things, a certain type of Wi-Fi router. So when I was at my sister's, I went and bought a new Wi-Fi router. It was like DOCSIS 3.1, I think, something like that. My old router was probably 10 years old anyway, so it's probably, for security reasons, a good time to update it. Yesterday I rearranged the computer stuff in this apartment here. So now the Wi-Fi router is 2 feet from the omnidirectional treadmill. So hopefully that'll make the video better and not as choppy for when I'm using the omnidirectional treadmill. Just being closer to the Wi-Fi router. So that's one thing. The other thing is I'm not going to use the Steam VR display view. And then as far as using the Fallout 4 native game display view for streaming, I didn't figure out how to resize that, but I think I can just use Windows Magnifier. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. So next time I stream that, which will probably be in a little over, in about a week, because I'm driving back to my sister's tonight, and I'll probably definitely be back by Friday. So I'll probably stream around a week from now, from the Omni treadmill. Unless something comes up or something, or I injure myself. But so I'll try that and see if it works better. So yeah, a couple fixes for that. Not using the Steam VR display thing. and moving the Wi-Fi router closer. The other thing, I don't think this will make a difference because I don't think it's a wired. I don't think it's an internet speed issue, the choppiness in my screen. But I can. So when I start streaming from Restream, first of all, I can do that from a different PC. But so in my Restream video, as I'm streaming, I'm looking at the video coming back from Restream. So I'm watching my own stream, basically, is what I'm saying. And I can't see that with my headsets on. So maybe I can just close that window and have it keep streaming. So that's another thing I can try to do to make it a little better. Actually, I could try to just do that. At the end of this stream, I could just close the window and see what happens. I might either close the window or pause the, there's a pause button from the playback in the video. Maybe I just have to hit the pause button. So I'm not using that bandwidth to view my own stream. Especially since I can't see it anyway when the headset's on. I did get the Restream chat to work and put it like next to my Fallout 4 Pip-Boy in VR. That was kind of cool. I was using a VR app on Steam called OVR Toolkit. So that's the last time I streamed. I was experimenting with that, and I got that to work. So I don't see the comments in real time, like as I'm in VR playing the game. But if I look at my Pip-Boy, I can see the comments. There might be a few minutes before I bother to look at the comment. But it's better than no feedback at all when I'm streaming. No connection to the audience at all. So yeah, that's the status of things. I have a few things to try with the omnidirectional treadmill. I fixed this one. I got the X and Y button working. So I'll have to think of what game I want to play now that all the buttons work. Because I had to limit myself to games where I could remap some of the buttons to other places that weren't, so they weren't using the full button scheme. So there were some games that I like to play, like Assassin's Creed. And the one I was playing when I first started streaming was Kena Bridge of Spirits, which had just come out last fall. I couldn't do that one without all of the buttons. So I might try one of those when I get back next week. Because I've been playing one called Zorro. And it's like a little mini game. I'm getting kind of bored with it. So I might stream a more A-list open world exploration game. Now that I have all the buttons working. Might switch to something like that. I just started playing Assassin's Creed. The one with the brother and sister in London. I don't remember what it's called. Unity, maybe. So I started with Assassin's Creed Origins, and I loved it. I didn't get into video games until maybe 5-6 years ago. And then I played Odyssey, And I enjoyed that a lot, but I didn't quite like it as much as Origins. And then I played the Viking one, which is the newest one. And that one, I played it through the main game, and I bought a couple of the DLC, and I played it maybe halfway through the DLC. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as Origins, but I never played the older ones. I played a little of Black Flag, and I kind of enjoyed that one. But I never got that far in it. And then Unity I just started playing like a week or so ago. But yeah, those are the more stealthy ones. It's a totally different gameplay. They're open world-ish, but they're more stealthy. You can't just dominate and kill everybody in a base or something, which I think is kind of fun sometimes. And I actually like, it seems to be there's a little more open worldness. There's more stuff to do in the newer, in the Odyssey type ones and the older ones. But I do enjoy the older ones too a little bit, so they might be too hard to do on the treadmill. But we'll see. I'm also not sure if the old ones have like bosses to fight. I haven't gotten that far. We'll see. But yeah, I probably won't stream anything for another 5 or 6 days until I get back from 4th of July holiday. So my sister and my family on the other side of Michigan, they live near a lake, so I'll probably go out on the lake with one of my childhood friends is throwing a party. I'll probably go to that tomorrow. Maybe go out on the lake Sunday if the weather's good also. I grew up across the street from a lake over there, so we always had lake access, but we weren't lakefront. And my dad had like a fishing boat, and for a couple years we had a speedboat, but most of the time I would bum off of the boats of friends, and that's what we do now. We actually sold my dad's fishing boat to one of my friends, and they have a pontoon boat that's fast enough to pull skiers and tubers. And then one of our other friends has a speedboat. We actually don't ski that much as adults, but we go out on the pontoon boat. There's an area in the middle of the lake where a good swimming area, where it's super shallow, and all the pontoon boats gather over there. So that's kind of cool. People just drink and hang out, and sometimes they bring out like yard games to do like in the lake, like a volleyball or like a ring toss type game. What's it called with the 3 levels? Where you wrap the thing around the 3, like the field goal thing that's 3 levels high. Sometimes they bring that out there. They have one that floats. Yeah. Of course, fireworks. For the 4th, there's always people who have fireworks. I don't really care that much about fireworks. It's something to do, though. Hang out and drink and watch fireworks. None of my close friends on the lake are like the big fireworks launchers, but there's a couple people that we don't really know who live somewhere around the lake who spend like thousands of dollars on fireworks every year. So we usually watch that. It's kind of cool. We don't have to drive into a town or anything to watch fireworks. You can just sit out on a deck or go out on a pontoon boat and watch them. So that's what I'll be doing this weekend and not streaming. If I get bored, if it's rainy Sunday or Monday, or nobody's around on the Monday, which there probably won't be, I do have my exercise bike over there with the Xbox controller on it, so I haven't tried using the basic exercise bike since I injured my foot, my leg or my foot. So maybe I'll try that just to see how it goes. But yeah, that's the plan. I did a comedy thing last night. I didn't get back in town until Tuesday. And then Wednesday I did poker with my friends. I lost. First one knocked out. And then Thursday I did comedy. I actually got paid. It was a paid showcase, which means that there's more than 3 comics. It's like 6 or 7 comics. So that was cool. That one got delayed. So it was supposed to be 2 weeks ago. So a couple weeks ago I had to drive from here to my sister's and then back within like a 4-day period to do that show. But then it got delayed, so I had to do the same thing again this week. Because I had to go to a birthday party for a friend, 40th birthday party over by my sister's on Saturday, and then I had that again on Thursday, and now I have to drive back there again for the 4th. So it's like back there. It's like a 3-hour drive. I really hate to go back and forth that often. It sort of sucks. My back gets sore from driving, and it's exhausting and boring. But that one comedy show made me go back twice because it got delayed. But I like the guy who runs the show. I hadn't seen him since pre-COVID. It's good to see him. I did okay. Most of my, I did about half like super old material that I've been doing that I know works, and that worked. And then some of my newer stuff, which is actually sort of stuff that I've been doing on and off over the years, but I keep tweaking it, trying to get it to work. That didn't really work. Maybe some tiny laughs. It was not super small for open mic. There's probably 12 people other than the comics, which is, it's enough to know if something is working or not. But yeah, some of my best stuff, like my medium quality stuff, didn't work at all. But at one point I had somebody just cracking up laughing. I had to wait like 30 seconds. It felt like 30 seconds. It might have been closer to 10 seconds for him to just stop laughing so I could move on. So that felt good. That doesn't happen that often, where somebody is just laughing like so loud that I cannot continue and I just have to wait. So I got someone really good with some of my better material, like one time, and then not quite as long a second time. So that felt great. But other than that, I got pretty small laughs. That venue is super close to this apartment. So I picked this apartment. This is Plymouth, Michigan, and it's for Southeast Michigan, for like Ann Arbor, Detroit. It's like halfway between everything. So it's halfway between the closer Detroit things like Detroit proper or Hamtramck. There's some bunch of comedy stuff in Hamtramck, which is basically Detroit. And then there's Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, which is like 20 minutes the other way. There's not many that are like in between where I'm living now. This one was like 2 miles away, just one road, just straight shot. And there's a jogging trail that goes right parallel to the road. So if it weren't for my bum leg, I might just, if I get that show in the fall when it's not hot out, I might just jog there, because that would be cool, to jog to a comedy thing. Like, part of the reason I moved here is that it's within driving distance of everything, and also my friends who live over here that I used to work with. So it's not like the ideal location for anything, but it's like less than a half-hour drive to everything. But also I moved here because they have a huge park trail system in Plymouth. Like lots of bike and jogging trails that all interconnect. I haven't done any of that. Partly because I didn't have a jogging partner. Partly because I was going to buy an e-bike, but then the economy crashed. And I didn't want to spend the money to buy an e-bike. And partly just laziness, because I have all this set up. But now that I have a specific place to go on the jogging trails, which is this comedy show, I think it'd be cool to actually finally use the trails that lured me to live here. So it is 7:20. I'll go until I'm at 2 miles. And then I jump in the shower. I have clothes in the laundry, and then have to drive 3 hours to be back at my sister's house for the 4th, where I rent that spare room. So that's why I'm streaming so early, is that I have to drive back over there. My weight is 230, which sucks. I'd sort of hit 230. And then I went down to 222. So when I first started doing this fitness gaming thing last fall, I was at 230, and I sort of slowly went down to 222. And then I went all the way up to 230. This is after the holidays, so I don't really have an excuse. Just laziness, and I'm not always living where the fitness machines are, and I'm not doing a lot of comedy things instead of exercising. Also eating sometimes at the comedy things, eating junk burgers and stuff. So I gained weight. Then I started to lose it again. I got back down to 228. But then I sort of hurt my ankle. And so looks like I'm starting to gain weight again. I really don't want to let myself get above 230, because I start having problems with pre-diabetes and low blood sugar, dizzy spells and stuff if I get above 230. Plus I don't want to look like shit. Yeah. I do think I look a little better at 230 when I've been working out than like pre-COVID when I was 230 when I wasn't working out. But still, it's probably not great. As I'm getting older if I let myself get fat, like fatter than normal, that could be when when the serious health effects hit. I could get away with being a little extra fat when I was in my 20s, but I do not want to let myself get so big in my early 40s where I start permanently affecting my life. So that was part of the reason for starting this thing, is to peer pressure myself into not giving up and just becoming a unhealthy old person who dies young. Yeah. And also because I didn't have to drive into work. That could definitely happen if I'm old or out of shape, and also not even getting the fitness of like day-to-day moving around. To me, that's super dangerous health-wise. If you're not going out and about much and you're not exercising, so I didn't want to do that. So I don't talk about this much, but I invest in crypto, not NFTs, but like Bitcoin and some of the altcoins. And I sold half of my Ethereum last fall before it tanked, so like about a third of my crypto. So I made some good moves, so I didn't lose quite as much as I otherwise would have lost. But the other thing I did last week, because all these crypto exchanges are crashing, is that I moved my money out of all of the exchanges except for Coinbase. Like I had some money in Voyager. I had some money in Binance, which I couldn't get to because I live in the U.S. Just like $500 or something. And I had some money in some, what's it called? Some exchange, because I wanted to buy some altcoin that I heard about that you couldn't buy on Coinbase. And then that one went, so I couldn't access that in the US either, and I had over 1,000 in that one. And then Crypto.com, the one that Matt Damon did the commercial in, I had about 1,000 in that, which turned out to be less than 1,000 because it went down. So I moved all of that into Coinbase, and the ones that Coinbase didn't support, I sold. Except I left 1,000 in Voyager, so I could trade that on like day to day on my phone through their app. My thought with that is that the guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, the guy who owns the what's it called, FTX, he wouldn't have loaned them the rescue money if they were going to immediately collapse. So I'm betting that $1,000 on him being smart enough to not to make sure that he wouldn't loan to something that was going to collapse like the next day. It wouldn't make sense. But I had like over 10 grand in Voyager, and I moved most of it out because I didn't want to worry about losing it all. And I was able to figure out how to get my money out of the Binance and the other one that they're not allowed to interact with U.S. customers. I don't think it was illegal for me to get my money out. I think it's illegal for them to bank in the U.S. But I was able to use a VPN to get my money out that had been just sitting there. And then, so the only thing I have is Coinbase, and then I have that $1,000 in Voyager, and then I have $500 on a debit card through Crypto.com. And I started spending that because I don't even know if that's safe. I think it's Crypto.com Visa debit card. So because it's Visa, maybe that's safe. If Crypto.com went under, I might be able to get that money back. But who knows, it could take years of like delays and red tape before you actually, I don't know how long it takes to get, even if something is FDIC insured, how long does it take to get that money that's FDIC insured if the company goes under? So I started spending that. Those electronics I bought earlier that I was talking about, the connectors, the Dutch connectors, I started spending that money. I couldn't figure out how to get the money out of the debit card other than to spend it. Like I couldn't transfer it out to a different place. But it was like not a credit card, it's a prepaid debit card. Maybe I'll go until an hour. I've gone over 2 miles. But yeah, that kind of sucks. That was a pain in the ass. But so far I haven't lost any money like in crypto, as far as like, I mean, it went down and I sold it at a loss, but I haven't lost any like, oh, the exchange went under and it's just gone. Like, or somebody stole it. So I've been lucky. I didn't have any money ever just vanish. Never sent it to an invalid address where it just disappeared or lost a key. So far none of that has ever happened to me. But I heard that, or I saw a YouTube video that Voyager might have frozen all withdrawals today. But there's a lot of news on YouTube that's just a complete lie. Like, just scammers and liars trying to get clicks. And because I didn't see it from a legitimate, like, channel that I trust, that I'd heard of before, I don't know. But I might lose that $1,000 in Voyager. I can live with that. But overall, I got in crypto early enough where even if it all went to zero, everything that I own, I'd still be up maybe 50% from, or doubled my money total from what I put in, even if it all went to zero. So it's definitely painful when the value goes down a lot, but not as painful as if I had bought it all at the top. Like, my profits are disappearing, but although I did plan on living on that money, so eventually, if it all went to zero and my stocks also went way down, I'd have to go get a job for sure. So that would suck. But it wouldn't suck as much as if I had invested my life savings and bought in at the top like a lot of people did, and then just lost it all. I didn't lose any on Luna. I got lucky with that, because on Voyager I would day trade Luna. Like if it went down a little bit, I would buy some and then I'd wait for it to go up a little bit and then sell it within a day or two. And sometimes they would drop. Some of them would. I would do that. Some of them would drop 30%, and I would just either take the loss or just never sell them. But with Luna, I got lucky. Every time I bought low, I was able to sell it high. Like I'd buy 1,000 of it, and I'd sell it for 1,080. And I probably did that 7 or 8 times with Luna. And I didn't just happen to not have any held when it crashed, just out of pure luck. So I might be the only person in the world who came out ahead on Luna, but not by much. But I lost a lot with the other coins since this year. I don't think anybody's watching, but if you were, you're probably bored by crypto. Yeah, I'm definitely not buying the dip yet. I did, like I said, I sold half of my ETH when it was at about 4,000. Now it's down to like 1,000. I did buy about half of it back around 2,200. So I didn't feel the full loss. The rest of that money I spent on living expenses. So I don't have enough money left to buy the full amount that I had, even though it's only trading at a quarter of the price. Well, I could if I wanted to, but if I moved money around, but I don't want to. Most of my ETH I bought around 800. I didn't buy that as early as I'd bought other cryptos. So it's still just barely above what I paid for it. But I think there's a good chance that it'll fall down to 800, about what I paid for it. And then I might start buying some more if I have any money left. But I'm doing a little trading in and out on Voyager with that $1,000. But I'm not buying any crypto on the dip, like to hold yet. I kind of think that there's going to be, so the Q2 for the stocks is ending today. Like today's the first day of quarter 3. And then, so in the next few weeks, companies are going to be announcing earnings and for their stocks and forecasts for their stocks. And I think there might be another step down in the stocks. And I think that's going to be close enough to a bottom, like after, like at the end of July, end of August, where I might start buying back in stuff slowly, if nothing changes for the worse as far as Ukraine and whatnot. Yeah, one more minute. Anyway, that was my little status workout. I fixed this controller. Still working on the rowing machine 1. Experimenting with wiring harnesses, wiring connectors and harnesses and stuff for that. And then I have a few ideas to try to make the omnidirectional treadmill game video less choppy, to try next week. I don't really need any equipment for that. So I should be able to try that for sure. As far as the rowing machine controller, I probably won't have anything to show. I mean, it'll probably be this fall by the time I'm done with that, so it's like a whole year of talking about it before it's actually built, which is pitiful, but that's where it's at. But anyway, this was Gaming McFitness. Keep gaming, keep exercising. If you want to make exercise less boring, try doing both at the same time. Good night.